Hello and welcome. This is Alchemist X. So, going over this week for Alchemist Code, Nina is having a very good week as far as upgrades go. Between a job upgrade and a brand new memento that's filled to the brim with stuff that she would want. And there's some interesting stuff in the banners too. I imagine that will be a fairly quick overview because there's not a whole lot there aside from Nina's new memento and a couple of other interesting things. So Nina, as a free unit via challenge board, plus 150 shards, everyone can get started raising her. But in order to clear her job change quest, you're going to need to have a high level of investment. Hopefully not totally maxed, but a high level of enlightenment is typically what I would expect from that. So depending on how long you've been playing and how much you've been focusing Nina, that might not be something that you're ready for just yet. If not, don't worry about it. Just keep farming her shards. She's a 3 times a day farmable unit, assuming that it's not doubled like it is right now. So chances are pretty high that by the time it reruns again, you'll be in a much better place. So as a unit, she is a light elemented damage dealer who can both debuff and have a decent amount of dark exploit, so she's really good against killing dark elemented enemies with magic. She can lower enemies' magic resistance, she can absorb magic res from enemies with her reactive, and then some of her skills will do it too. She's also got some buffs though. She's got M-attack buffs for allies, she's got an extra buff for Scarlet Flame units, so her kit is definitely moving her into more synergy with the rest of her team, which is something that she kind of lacked before. So now, like, similarly to how Vettel, Natalie, and Gerald can, like, really synergize, you can start to throw Nina in there, too. Because even if magic isn't your primary focus of a given map, the buffs that she can provide and healing that she can provide could still make her a valuable support member, even if she's not the main magic DPS, which she also could be very well. Especially given that she's got Magic Meister on her list of jobs. And so anyone with Clever Charge, you know, assuming that they have a good offensive job to utilize it, can become an absolute beast if a map has enough enemies that you can kill. So yeah, overall, I think it's hard to go wrong with Nina. She's very good at what she does. Her memento is nothing short of excellent insofar as how it helps her. If you max limit break it, you'll get both buff and debuff duration +1. Which is great for her kit. You'll get a snowball for her M attack that, upon max limit breaking, also adds jewel cost reduction. The VCR gives you a charge up for both area of effect, attack up plus dark exploit, and then it also has a pretty big area attack up modifier just on the gear itself too. So overall, just pretty much everything that you could want for Nina in a single package, aside from maybe the leader skill. The leader skill is like decent. It's like magic, dark exploit, and dark res up, which as a Scarlet Flame leader skill is not amazing just because there are not a ton of light magic units that could really capitalize on it. But there's other light magic units, so you could run them that way. Overall, I think her Christmas memento is the best leader skill of the bunch, but in order to have that leader skill going plus the leader plus having enough limit breaks plus memento enlightenment to get all the bonuses from her brand new memento requires a pretty insane degree of investment. If you do it though, you'll get an absolute monster of a unit, but that is definitely up to you as to whether or not you would want to go down that path. So yeah, overall, highly recommend Nina in varying capacities. The unit 100%, the memento maybe if you love the unit. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the banners. And here we are at the banner. So first up is Nina's memento banner. This one is very straightforward. Select her on step 9. Luckily the Christmas one is on there too, so if you were just focused on Nina, hopefully you'll get lucky and get both of them along the way. Then we have the free banner that I imagine most of you would have done already. If you are trying to decide which one you want to do, I'm going to be doing some summoning, and I will talk about that in a little bit more detail while I'm summoning, because it could take a little bit, and I'd rather just get through the banners and their relative values first. So next up is a 7-step with a selector. We've seen these before. I think this is a good banner style. If a selector that can get you any memento, as long as it came out before March, is valuable to you, then this is an excellent banner. And then a guaranteed 5-star along the way as an added bonus. Then there is a reroll banner for 5 stars. So this one only costs 5k, so it's a little bit cheaper than the above, but you don't get any guarantees, so just keep that in mind. Same thing with the Enlightenment Soul Shard banner. Again, no guarantees as to whether the shards will help you, but good shards to have nonetheless. So it just really depends on where your priorities are between units, Enlightenment versus mementos. And if none of that was to your liking, for the rest of the month, there's the Twins Memento and the Dark Phantoms Memento. So if you're just keep stacking discount tickets, those banners just keep getting cheaper and cheaper. I don't know if they'll give another discount ticket next week or not, but if they do, then if you've been hoarding them, then it's an absolute steal for either of those, assuming that you can make use of them. And then kind of same thing when it comes to the Wedding banner, just keeps getting progressively less expensive, although this one will expire at the end of this week. So the max amount of discount tickets you'd be able to have is 2. Overall, because there is not really a new wedding thing, I'd more recommend just doing the 7-step with the selector rather than doing this. Because especially if there's only one of these mementos that you want, it's just a little bit cheaper to do it that way. But yeah, that is all I have got to say about the banners. So I'm going to go ahead and do that 7-step with the selector, and I'll talk a bit more about why and then about the unit Enlightenment selector too while I'm at it. Okay, so I'm going to run this at 2 times speed just because it was almost 10 minutes long and I don't have that much to say. And the banner itself is not super important. Mostly it's the selector at the end. And then also the 5 relief selector is pretty important too. I probably should have mentioned that in the overview. So first thing is the free banner. If you are undecided, the way that I would decide which one to choose is like which one has the most valuable selector to you. And that would come in 2 ways. Either somebody you want to enlighten right now, or what has the best options for the future for you. Because like step 2, for example, for me had both Lindrake and Smire in their pool, and those are units that I'm very interested in. So because the selector doesn't expire for the Enlightenment shards, I can just save it, and then whichever one of those 2 I pull first, that's 100 shards towards their Enlightenment. And the Memento selector can be used the same way, just because it also doesn't expire. So you could just save it for whichever units you're hopeful to get in the future, and then as you know, especially if there's more than one, whichever one you get first, then you can get them all kitted out much easier, especially if it's the same unit for the Enlightenment shards and for the Memento, then it's just something that you can stash away and you can keep it flexible. So it's like, no, you don't really get any account progression now, but in the future you could have a pretty rapid progression once RNG finally helps you out a little bit. That was the main reason that I wanted to do this banner, is just because pretty much anti RNG defense, because so far for a little while now, you know, aside from, you know, a good Louis pull here, a good index 100 shards there, overall I'm having a difficult time having my account be progressed by RNG. So there's a little bit here and there. There's like a good upgrade for Spica here. You'll see one for Melville a little bit later. But it's all kind of small stuff. Big stuff like new units, new mechanics, huge upgrades to characters like a Memento or a Max Limit Broken Memento especially. That stuff has not really been working out too great for me RNG-wise. So that's why I just wanted to have this selector. Even though I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to use it just yet, the relief selector I'll probably get greed, because I'm 2 reliefs away from having Louis' Memento Max Limit Broken, and then I could use the remaining 3 on Inaku's Memento, get a bunch of, you know, decent shards of both, as a bonus, and then they both benefit quite a bit from having their Memento max limit broken. Inuku gets the dual regen, and so his stuff will be a little bit cheaper to cast. And with Louis as like the range extension. So overall, and more shards of him too, I'm just right about to get his gate 5. So that's kind of my thinking here. It takes me a little bit under where I want to be gems wise, because I want to be as close to 50k ideally. I mean, really, it'd be 70k if I wanted to go for Ophidius' Memento when it first comes out, but I'm not that worried about that. It'd be really possible for that 20k to be not super valuable if I had really garbage pulls, and then the only thing of value I got was the selector on step 9. Especially since I'm expecting to probably have to transmute him, so... But being like... Ultimately, this is going to put me about 7k under, and I've been intentionally not farming gems from the Dragon event, because when Ophidius comes out, the Dragon event has to be rerunning, so if I don't farm the gems from there now, I can just wait until he comes out and then take care of it then, and that's like something of a, an untapped reserve. So that's just overall kind of my thoughts on that. So if I do decide to do something soon with the Memento Selector, I'll probably just put it in like a community post being like, oh, this is what I did. But I would definitely expect to see a max limit broken Memento for Louis in the near future, because that one, I've been using him just more and more, and I absolutely love him. So yeah, that's all I got for this week. So if you're summoning this week, I wish you good luck, and I'll see you all next time.